All right. Good evening, everyone. We have a city council, regular city council meeting of the city of Cape May. We are here in the Cape May City Hall Auditorium. Today is Tuesday, May 6th, 2025. The time is now 5 p.m. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Under the Open Public Meetings Law, notice of this meeting was sent to the Cape May County Herald and the Press of Atlantic City, and a copy of the agenda was delivered to each member of City Council, posted on the city website and City Hall Bulletin Board. Notice is hereby provided that Cape May City Council meetings are audio recorded and/or video streamed live. Live video streams are posted to the Cape May City website. The City of Cape May is not responsible if audio recording or live video streaming of a meeting is unavailable. Roll call. Councilmember Baldwin? Here. Councilmember Bodnar?
Here.
Deputy Mayor McDade? Here. Councilmember Meyer?
Here.
Mayor Mullock?
Here.
City Solicitor Gillenschwartz?
Here.
City Manager Dietrich?
Here.
Deputy Manager Riggs?
Here.
Deputy Clerk Turner?
Here.
And CFO Haney.
Here.
Any additions or deletions tonight, Council?
Any additions or deletions, Council? No?
All right. Employee of the Month.
Okay, on to Employee of the Month.
Thank you. Always the good time of the month of the year when we get to do one of these. So, Kai Vester, come on up, please. So, Esther Chico, she's one of our new employees in the tax collector's office, and if you haven't seen her, she's a bright new addition that we have there. She's really a great, caring and individual, always real patient with everybody that comes in and has to pay their taxes, so she's a warm, friendly face in there. We were fortunate enough, she came from a really good financial background. We stole her from Sturdy Savings Bank, so we kind of brought her into the mix, so she's been a great addition. And just really a little story just to kind of highlight some of the stuff she did. So on a cold, this was back, I don't know when didn't tell me when it was, a few weeks back, it was really cold out. We had somebody that walked over from Beach Avenue. I think they'd walked up to Beach Tag thinking they were going to buy beach tags, came in, then here, really tired, really out of breath. Esther sat out in the hallway with them, getting them water, just making sure that they're okay. Their husband was going to go pick them up, walked them over to Victoria Towers, just to make sure that they made it through. So it just kind of just highlighted some of the dedication that we have some of the new employees working here, and it's just a great addition. So I just want to congratulate Esther on being chosen as the Employee of the Month for Cape May. Okay, one more. Deb, come on up. Come on up. Sure, come on up, please. Come on. Come on, hurry up, we'll get the whole department here.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you to the whole department. I think we had a return rate of 99.36, so really, really high, and we appreciate all your hard work, so thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, with that, we have our updates and old business. City Manager, do you have any updates for us this evening? Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
A couple. First, I just wanted to make you aware. So it's actually the 2004 state plan is going through its cross-acceptance process with the state, and it's the state plan says 2004. We're in 2005. It's still in draft form, but it takes the state a long time to do stuff. They're now engaging with all the different counties and municipalities to just kind of go over things. They're not changing. If you probably remember some of the old cross-acceptance processes, it actually changed town center areas and what towns could do within those areas. This is not this type of a process this time. This is really a more traditional cross-acceptance planning process where we're just looking at identifying key things and moving those forward. So really the document that you see is really a list of some of the planning documents that we've done during this last planning recommendation, as well as some areas where we did make some recommendations for changes or clarifications, generally whether it was directly for Cape May City or to the state plan itself. And most of those were relying or regarding some resiliency and consistency, specifically with, you have one state department, the DEP, enacting or proposing the NJPAC REAL rules that was looking at a 75-year planning horizon, whereas the state plan, even in their resiliency standpoint, is only looking at a 25-year planning horizon. So, they need to really have consistency within the state as far as planning efforts, and we should all be working towards one goal, not having mixed goals and different planning efforts. So that was, I'll say, the largest recommendation and concern that the city made back to the state plan. So I just wanted you to be aware of that. It was really a document that went through the planning board process and then was submitted up to the county for submittal to the state.
That's great.
And then it's now, we're in the middle of our regular budget process, but now we wanted to really start our capital budget process, specifically because there's one specific project that we kind of need to move forward in our planning process. Oh, come on. So here's our what we're asking for a budget timeline. We're looking at, we're discussing the major project lists with council and obviously introducing this to the public this evening. We're looking for a introduction of the bond ordinance on June 3rd. Have a more discussion on the 17th for the public direct discussion if your council so chooses. And then we would have a public hearing and adoption on the July 1st council meeting. And then we could have those funds available 20 days after the July 1st. That's an important time frame for one of our specific projects as we move forward. When we look at just a summary, the general capital bond, we're looking around just over almost $9.7 million. We have $500,000 in the capital section of our current budget, so we'll detail how those funds that are in the budget will be spent. And then we're looking at 2.355 in the water sewer capital, and then another 2 for beach capital. Here's an overall project summary of the different sections and how they all look out. On the bottom left is the $500,000 that's in the municipal budget. That's $450,000. That would be a match to a potential $1 million rehabilitation of the brick facade here at City Hall, as well as a $50,000 additional investment on an additional phase for security cameras. We need to expand cameras up and around Beach Tag in the one side of Convention Hall and the Welcome Center, and a couple other I'll say blind spots that we've kind of identified as we've rolled out the camera phase. I also believe at our next council meeting, we're anticipating having a presentation of the total camera system. Most of the system, at least on the Washington Street Mall, is up and operational, and that way they can come in and kind of really give a nice demonstration and show in real time how the system works and how it is going to aid our police department in making sure that the city is safe for our residents and visitors. To kind of go over the projects. 20 for road improvements. We've done a lot of projects lately where we've kind of leveraged grant funds and trying to do a total road reconstruction where we're replacing water lines, sewer lines, stormwater, and doing a total road reconstruction. However, in doing that over the last couple of years, there are some streets that don't have or need those infrastructure repairs, so we're kind of taking a pause this year and trying to do a section of streets. This is close to a mile of streets within the city that we'd be able to kind of do a larger chunk of streets, because obviously if we're not doing all the other infrastructure work, we can get more mileage done per dollar, so to speak. So those are some of the streets. Talk with Public Works and water and sewer, and based on they all have good infrastructure, not a good road surface. So this is why we're recommending this section of streets for roads. This is probably our critical, I didn't update this slide, critical process, and I'm going to go back just to work at the dollars because this has the correct dollar amounts. So it's an additional $2.643 million on the police station headquarters, and then for site work and upfitting of the computer network and furniture and the other site appurtenances, generator, you're looking at another $1.857 million. It's important to get this project moving now, or from a bonding perspective, so that the anticipation is to go out to bid in June so that we have bids due in August so that we can have a potential council award in early August so that we can break ground in September, which then would put us on a timeline to have a constructed police station building in the early spring of 2027. So that's kind of the timing of why I've kind of moving this presentation up a little bit, just so we can kind of move this process along for this project as well as a couple others. Again, here's the renderings of the police station. They really haven't changed as far as the exterior and the layout. We've had our task force working with the various consultants on the interior layout. I know Chief's been working with a lot of his other contacts in the Department of Corrections and on the state side to get the various approvals that he needs to do on his side. But it's moving forward, and both our engineer and architect are ready to be able to have final plans for council's approval in June so that we can continue this bidding process. Other projects that we're looking at within the capital bond, holiday decorations, looking at installing several poles and lighting along Washington, Lafayette, and Ocean Street to have, this kind of gives you the display across the street. You can kind of see the pole wraps. Can't really see it. I have to get a better picture zoomed in. On the left side of those poles, they put wreaths or decorations up the sides of the poles also, as well as putting some wreaths and other decorations around garland around City Hall and the community center. The majority of I'll say the lighting fixtures is around the $35,000 cost, but the poles are another $70,000, and then about another $60,000, $65,000 to run the electrical lighting for that. So we could either do that in phases or however council wanted to proceed with that. The other projects are, continue. We started a project, but we need to fund for the Convention Hall concert lighting. We've been working on, we had one bid that we kind of rejected, put back out to, we're going to be putting that back out to have a better fine tuning of what the lighting needs are for the concert, and hope to have that funded. And then there's also been some discussions about possibly adding a bathroom along Jackson Street along the mall to provide another comfort station for the public in that area. And this is the model that we've kind of that you see here. It's actually a self-cleaning restroom. It's almost, if you've ever gone to like an automatic car wash where you kind of drive in and get your car cleaned, what happens is every time you leave the bathroom, or after so many times, it actually internally washes itself and cleans itself. That's one of the things we're looking at possibly adding for the Washington Street Mall. Equipment purchases, we're looking to convert our enterprise leases into a bond so we can make better capitalization on the lease purchases. Right now, our lease purchases are taking away a lot of our O&E within our budget. So in order to free up some of our O&E space, we want to move those to a capital bond purchase. And then some of our equipment, an ambulance, we're going to put in another ambulance. We still have not received the ambulance that was bonded for 2 or 3 years, 2023, and it's still, I think, another year out, or at least 8 months out from now. And they're telling us now that it's a 900-day lead time if you order an ambulance. So in order for us to kind of get into the queue for another ambulance, it's about time. The recycle truck, not the residential collection trucks, but the smaller beachfront and mall recycling truck that we use needs to be replaced, as well as a chipper and some other shop equipment. Will round out the equipment purchases that we showed on them.
Paul, can I just ask you one quick one on the beachfront recycling?
Yes.
Will that be under the beach utility bond, or will that be separate?
I mean, we could talk with bond counsel on whether or not that
Okay.
could, because it's whether it's beach or tourism related, we could talk to bond counsel on whether or not either one of those utilities could handle that cost with
To look at splitting it because it's going to serve those two.
those two
areas.
functions.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something we can talk with bond counsel and get their recommendation for sure.
How many vehicles in the small vehicle fleet?
We're evaluating that. There's about a half a dozen small vehicles, pickup trucks, and other small vehicles that we're looking at. As part of the enterprise fleet, if you recall, it was kind of upgrading everything to try to get into that program where everything was within a 5 to 6 year life. This is kind of, I'll say, the final phase of what wasn't done during that initial enterprise purchase, was looking at the balance of those vehicles. At this point, we're trying to maximize and figure out the exact vehicle, but we've really put ourselves, this is a dollar amount, and then we're going to try to figure out really what vehicle best fits that purchase price, because the vehicle pricing has changed and it's really fluid. And from month to month, it seems like pricing is changing on some of the vehicles. Some of the state contracts haven't been reawarded, so we have less flexibility in some cases, depending on normally years past the state contract was renewed pretty frequently, so you always kind of knew what that pricing was. The state hasn't been as quick at renewing some of their state contracts to have some of the pricing of the vehicles that we're looking for, as well as looking at some departments that need energy efficient or fuel efficient type vehicles that can use them, compared to where we know some of the emergency vehicles aren't the best for, I'll say, electric or hybrid vehicles where we're having some issues. So we just want to maximize that.
Paul, just to kind of continue with that, with the enterprise, can we get, clearly you're making the decision based on some data. Can we receive that data as far as, we're moving away from that?
Sure, yeah, we'll give you the
Yeah.
ultimate, once we have the list of which vehicles that we're moving into this bond, we can provide counsel with that list of that.
And
those
then how far
vehicles.
we are actually into that
Yes,
enterprise
yes.
program?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot that,
Well, this,
there was a
I think we've put
transition.
in our last order of, I'll say, small dump trucks
Mm-hmm.
out of the enterprise order. And some of the enterprise vehicles we won't be buying out because of some of the hybrid and electric vehicles, we have to maintain title under the lease for at least a year as part of the tax rebate and the pricing because of the electric vehicles. So there's some of them that we won't be able to move over directly.
I
But yeah, we'll provide council a itemized list of those vehicles before we go out and purchase. And
But I even think I would go back and say, if you could just give us a summary that talks about how many vehicles we have flipped or
Sure.
turned
Through it.
into.
Yep.
You know, and, you know, what we got in turn from
Yes.
them. And what the sort of life term is for those.
Yes.
You know, are we in a 3-year and we're in year 2, whatever it might be. So I think a more detailed breakdown.
give you a-
For not only where we are.
Eric's been working on that whole spreadsheet on that vehicle inventory and how we're programming and trying to track which vehicles are moving forward. So we'll share that with council before
Thank you.
before we move forward. Public safety purchases, you know, I mentioned the security cameras will go in to the municipal budget capital section, but we have police body cameras, police and fire safety equipment, and then OEM is looking at an automated weather system. I'm sure you hear the flood sirens go off every once in a while. They are manually operated, so somebody has to physically drive out to within close proximity to that siren and activate that siren to make it happen. This automated weather system would work on tide gauges and based on weather forecasting and be able to do those alerts, and not only alert from a audible sound point, but also do a email or a text alert to people that would register and sign up for that service of flooding, which just makes it more automated and much more effective, because obviously in the current system, you have to rely on a person to go out and identify the flooding and then make sure that the siren works when they press the button.
And I think that, you know, Assistant Chief Deputy Eck has been doing in the job is really taking a look at trying to get things a little bit more state-of-the-art, number one, and number two, looking at systems for not only residents to be aware of, you know, a potential storm coming in, lightning strikes, things of like that, but also to incorporate people who are visiting. So being able to use the text leverage system to get people to sign up so that they can be, you know, informed in a pretty timely manner, so.
Right.
Is there a subscription associated with that?
Similar to how we had, you know, there will be a registration process to do it, yes. That we'd ask people to register.
No, I mean, for the city to use this technology. Is this?
Yeah, that's part of the,
Purchase and
it's
subscribe.
part of the subscription. Because, I mean, a lot of the subscription is cellular data, because at each tide station, it's got to have a cellular communication back to computers to communicate with the sirens and the system itself. So yes, it's a subscription service.
I assumed.
It's similar to that Nexol system?
It would be similar to that, yes.
Okay. And we couldn't utilize that as,
Well, see, the Nixle can't, you have to buy the tide stations
you didn't?
that, to measure what the flood level is at actually, so that, to send the alerts and to trigger that. We may be able to tie it into Nixle, to use Nixle as the backbone for some of the pushing out of the text and email notifications, but as far as the backbone of the tide level and all that other stuff, that's a physical purchase that we need to do.
We don't need to get into this now, but I do have a legal question on notification. And I don't think you would know this offhand, Chris, but is there any liability in that system not operating as it should and an issue occurring? And I don't want that answer now, but I just want to talk about that later, that's all.
Now we move on to the beach capital. We've been looking at, you know, we're in the process of doing the promenade rehabilitation. I've been discussing with the contractor, so when we did the work with on Beach Avenue with the county, they installed conduit before they paved for us to run electric services through. I've asked the contractor to give us some pricing on about 5 or 6 locations from Cove up to Convention Hall to essentially run our city electric service and put it in the conduit that we had previously installed. So we're looking to get those prices out, but in order to do that project, we would need to fund that, but that would help remove all of those services from Cove, the Second Street, Comfort Station, Beach Shack, Lifeguard Headquarters, and down towards Convention Hall and Beach Tech. The other one would be to renovate Lifeguard Headquarters. That's about a $1.5 million project. Here's the initial rendering. We've been working with an architect to kind of come up with a scope. If you look at this, the top elevation is the view from the ocean. The middle elevation is the view from Beach Avenue, and then obviously the two lower elevations are the sides. The one on the left is from the Cove, and the other one would be looking from Convention Hall. And essentially, this does not change the total height of the building. This does not change the width of the building. All the expansion is moving, and I'll kind of show it on this next slide. This is the plan view. You can see in the front of the building where the handicap ramp now goes down towards the east. That is going to be expanded out and expand the restroom facilities and locker facilities. And the intent, really, the purpose of this whole project was to equalize the size of the men's and the women's locker room, bathroom, shower facilities so that they had equal facilities. If you've ever been in and visited the facility, I'm sure everybody's fully aware of the men's facilities is probably 2 to 3 times the size of the women's facilities, and that was okay 25 years ago when, the lifeguard population was probably 75, 80% male and 20% female. Now it's about 50-50, give or take a person here or a person there. So it's only appropriate that we kind of upgrade those facilities and make them equal size. When you look at that, they have the same number of showers, the same number of bathroom fixtures, and the square footage is about the same. So the architect really did a good job at using the space that we had. It does expand towards the ocean. So if you kind of think the new building will be at the end of where the deck is now, and then the deck that you see portrayed on this plan view would be cantilevered out over that. So from the ocean side, it would go out about another 6 feet of cantilevered deck, but that where the railing is would be essentially the end of the building that way. So, but as far as width, there is no really change in width. You will notice, I'll say, on the right, on this plan view, it's on the right side. The handicap ramp will be down that side. So in other words, essentially the handicap you'll go up from the promenade, go up the ramp towards the rear of the building or the ocean side, and then you'd enter from the rear of the building for the handicap access. And this really, the other views that we're looking at, we're going to extend into the promenade, and this was the solution that we kind of came out. So I guess to the only extent we are expanding to the sides of the building is really for this handicap ramp, which really poses no detriment to the public as far as the neighbors on the other side. And the architect feels that we can do this renovation in one off-season. So depending on when our bonding gets funded and when the architect could get on the plans, is whether or not we would do it during this off-season or wait until the off-season in 2026.
Hopefully we can push it a little bit, but I just want to commend you and the architect and all the council members up here that have worked on this. It's an obvious one. Obviously, we've gotten some complaints about it, and you walk in and you realize, look, hey, this was designed before we were 50-50 in terms of, who's on the...
Even the number of total staff.
Right. So to be able to do it without blocking someone's view, which we understand people would be upset about, but to be able to make some pretty significant upgrades, you know.
Yeah, and I think it would be wonderful the sooner we can get this done. And Captain Beck has reviewed this and all on board with it. So, and I think it's a positive message to send to the female guards
Yep.
who have been sort of, tolerant for a while,
Yes.
but now we've got something to actually show them. So,
That's cool.
So the big thing on the timing is, this is the same architect that's working on the police station building.
Yep.
So if council is acceptable to this project and want to move it forward, maybe at the next meeting, I can get a resolution authorizing to proceed with the final design of the building. That way I can
Could we have Mr. Conley here and give a little presentation?
I don't know if we want to do it the
If you
next
can.
meeting, because next meeting, if we have the camera and we have the budget on for that
budget,
meeting,
okay.
I don't know if you want to have a third presentation,
Yeah.
but I think in order to keep the project moving, I would need an authorization for him to proceed with the design work. But I could have him come back at that. So if we're going to present this capital bond at the July 3rd meeting, I could definitely have him here at, June 3rd. I could definitely have him here at the June 3rd meeting to make
Perfect.
to really go over some of the details and questions that
Perfect.
the council may have. The water sewer bond, really, we are going to move forward on the water tower refurbishment at Madison Avenue. I've had some, I was anticipating having a proposal for council this evening to award a proposal to design the painting. However, we met with a consultant that we may have, from a financial standpoint, it may be better to look at a more long-term, where this company will paint it, but also maintain the project for a 20-year life cycle, and that the next paintings would be significantly less than a $2 million investment in painting, and then in like 8 years or 9 years, do another $2 million painting, and then in another 9 years after that to do another $2 million painting, or escalated at that point. They have a model that can do a more economical maintenance over the life of that system to have a overall less life cycle cost over a 20-year life cycle, compared to painting it and then waiting and inspecting it and then painting it again. So we met with him, and I'm hoping to have a presentation on that life cycle cost. But
June
we're
3rd?
Possibly. And then the smaller cost, the improvements to the water system, was another $300,000 and some parts. And then this is just kind of a summary of some of the projects that were left over from last year. We have that the combined water, sewer, and road project that we received a $5 million grant from the DEP to work on the last block on Ohio Avenue, Stockton, Washington, Idaho, Buffalo, Winona, and Swan. But that's all inclusive of a $5 million grant. And the city cost is about 1.5. So that was a
That's
good
awesome.
parlay of grant dollars with city dollars to get that number of streets. And those will be some of our last lead service lines in the road, as well as some aging sewer pipes. So we're moving along pretty well on that.
That's awesome.
So that's where we end. I'll go back up if anybody has any questions if you had any questions on specific dollars, and I didn't go through the individual dollar amounts. They're kind of summarized there. But that's how we got, those are the various projects that we're looking for. Individually, they're all right there. There's also I think I did not have, I don't remember. So we do have, I missed a slide. There's the match for the Harborview Park. Just was talking with the engineers today on that. They're working on the final details that Ready's got the bid, but we do have to fund the match for that. And there's also, we've been talking about the First Avenue pedestrian bridge. That's looking at what the Cape May City's costs after we would get a 50% grant from the county, and that would be a joint project with West Cape May And the city, our cost is probably looking at between 135 and 165 if we want to move that project forward. We actually have a pre-application meeting with the county set up later this month, which that would kind of tell us if they're going to be acceptable to that project or not.
Perfect.
So, Mr. Dietrich, the one item that is on here, I would like to have some further discussions,
Sure.
maybe offline, about the holiday decorations and the budget associated with that.
Yes.
I know that Councilwoman Baldwin and I have been talking about it, so maybe we can set up a time for the three of us to sit down and take
Yep.
a look at what the options are, and then come back and ascertain whether or not, what the budget, the
Yes.
capital.
I know we've talked, over the last 2 months, or 3 months, we've been talking about this and trying to move it in different forms or fashion, and that's why we brought it back here to bring it through a more formal process to really look at the options.
And Mayor and the other council members, are you fine with that, with Councilwoman
Absolutely.
Lorena?
Yeah, yeah,
I think you
absolutely,
understand my
please.
concerns.
Yeah, okay, great.
So, the,
Yep.
That's good.
perfect, okay.
Okay.
And just one other thing, if I may
Sure.
just bring up, because I love the water tower, and I remember when I was a kid, one of the, my friend's grandfathers would tell me how he would be the one to change the light bulb, the red blinking light on top,
The light.
when he worked for Public Works, Larry Mears. And I haven't seen that light been working for a long time, so just keep that under. What's that? Oh, there you go.
Maybe we can get it from a drone, maybe
But,
we could take it up and scroll it in.
I'm just saying, it's good to have it up there, that way planes know not to
Yep.
do some emergency landings around us.
And I know it will be addressed, but you said it before, Mr. Meyer, the
Yeah.
lettering of just raising that up a
Actually,
little bit.
Actually, the new, if we go with the people that have that longer-term maintenance, what they're recommending is on the towers like this that they're looking at with the cell towers is that really the way they've been attached to our water towers, not the proper manner. They actually put a cradle system up, and it's a better structural system that properly attaches to the tower as opposed to the individual antennas attaching into the tower. They create a single cradle system, and so then when the antenna people have to go on and off, they're not doing some of the structural back and forth.
Around.
So what it is, that cradle actually will go above the lettering so that the lettering is not impacted whatsoever.
Well, that's good, good value.
Okay.
Okay?
Anything else, City Manager?
At some point, I mean, we're up at the end of our ability to renew or to award the trolley bid. I know that you had some questions, Mayor, about it, but we're at our, if we don't award at this point, we would have to rebid it based on the 60 days.
Okay.
So either, if council doesn't act, it'll be essentially a withdrawal of the bid.
Okay.
Have to go out to bid, rebid in the future.
Let's discuss that then.
I'm sorry, that's.
Yeah.
If we weren't up against the timeframe.
What is the deadline?
About,
Was received.
I think,
This week?
this week or
Yeah.
maybe Monday
The
next.
11th, yeah. Next week.
Do
Okay.
we have to do something formal?
I would either need a recommendation
To-
this evening, a motion vote to accept the bid or reject the bid.
Right. So this was something that, I had an interest in. I wanted to see us as a city, as a town, develop more of a transportation-type program, being able to offer accommodations for people all year round, for seniors, for people who are here. We wanted to get around town. We talked, Paul and Casey and I talked about, a flex schedule, all sorts of different things. Other municipalities have it. A lot of areas like us in Florida have these types of services that they offer for moving people around. The price point is much higher than I thought it was going to be, and that is what it is. It's just, so in my opinion, even though this was something that I was very much supportive of, until we would understand sort of the value proposition and really understand what I think the residents would want to see in this kind of a program, without an other source of revenue to support it, I think it might be a bit much for us to undertake at this time. That disappoints me personally, but, you know, I just see that kind of investment at this point without more data.
I think we can get creative with some of this as well. I
Yeah.
mean, we've done the jitneys for the past quite a few
Yeah,
years.
I think my concern with, not with the jitneys, not with the service, is that we don't own it. We don't own the look of the buses, you know, any of those things. And we've tried some of the bus wraps, and that hasn't worked. But, you know, that has been my sort of disappointment, that it doesn't really resonate to be Cape May. Now, are there other opportunities? Maybe we need to explore what they are. So.
I mean, I just wanted to say, this was in the bond from last year. It is within the budget amount of the bond, but it still doesn't solve the programmatic, how do we operate? You know, it's one thing to capitally buy the capital purchase, but it's how do we function? How, do we outsource somebody to operate them for us? You know, those are all the things that, you know, to make that investment today, I think is.
So, I know, Deputy Mayor, you've been working on do I have another volunteer from council to maybe work on this, you
I
know,
would,
over
I
the
would
next
really
week?
like to work on this.
Is that good?
'Cause I'm very, I have a part of my heart, just, I think,
Okay.
this is like.
So,
Mayor.
Paul, are you saying we need to
We would
reject
need,
this?
we need to reject,
Okay.
and then we could I mean, the bond is still authorized, so it's not like we have to go out and do this today, tomorrow, we can do it next year. The bond authorization remains.
How about the grant?
That's what I'm concerned about.
The grant might not be there, because
So-
these grants are, you know,
There's
have.
a lot to talk about. I think, considering it's not even really on the agenda tonight, I'd rather have you two look at this, if you would, and see if we can come up with a better solution, because I thought we even got more grant money than.
I thought it was 190.
I thought it was a lot.
I thought it was a bit more than that, which is, you
Yeah.
know.
So let's have,
Yeah.
if you're okay with that.
Absolutely.
Fine with that.
Yep.
I'd like to have the two of you take a look at that with the city manager and see if we can come up with a good plan. But if we have to reject it this evening, then I think that's the only option we
Actually-
really have.
Just talking with Chris, we might be able to squeak it in, because April 4th was the bid date, so we might be able to.
Is that the opening for?
I'd rather not take action on it so we can take
Yeah.
a hard look at it.
Yeah, I thought it was after.
Well, either
I thought we had to
Well-
act for this.
So we're on.
I didn't think we had enough
way
date.
on this.
Yeah.
I mean,
It's data.
Mayor, even if you don't take action tonight, the inaction would be the same as,
Okay, so let's not take action.
you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I
so
mean,
no
even if-
matter
even
what,
if-
right.
Even if it is not taking action,
Yeah.
the bids would not be able to be authorized anyway.
So if you,
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get together and.
Deputy Mayor, Council
That's what I
Dwyer,
have
if you
on my
could
calendar.
get together with Paul on this and
Yeah.
give us a recommendation at next
And
meeting.
let's look into that grant again, because for some reason I thought it was more than that, but anyway.
No, that, we
Okay, all right.
had, that was one reason why we had Jim
So-
Rotella go back
Yeah.
to the state and verify
Okay, all right.
because the grant amount is based on the GVW of the
Gotcha.
vehicle, so
Okay.
it's
Yeah.
within that
All right.
category.
Okay.
Okay, all right.
All right. Anything else, City Manager?
No, that's all I had this evening, thank you.
City Solicitor, anything this evening?
I don't have anything tonight, thank you.
Council, any updates or old business? Okay, moving on to ordinances for introduction.
Yes, we have 559-2025, an ordinance amending Chapter 7 of the Cape May City Code regarding meter parking and incorporating the Cape Island Baptist Church parking lot pursuant to the city use agreement.
Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council? Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes, and I know I speak for the rest of council. Thank you to Cape Island Baptist Church for working with the city on this. I think it's going to work out good for everybody, so. Of course, we still have second reading, but
Yeah.
thank you. On to ordinances for second reading.
We have 556-2025, an ordinance amending Section 368-2 of the City Code regarding prohibited conduct in park and recreation areas to regulate use of the Lafayette Street Park nature trails.
We have a public hearing on this.
Yes.
Is anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 556? This is essentially not allowing bicycles. That's correct, right? On the new nature trail.
Correct. And other electronic-type vehicles,
Right.
like scooters and stuff.
Okay, do I have a motion, council?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any questions or comments, council?
I do, Mayor.
Go ahead, sir.
I have a concern about dogs being on this trail, to be honest with you. And the second part of the question is, if dogs are allowed on this trail, are they allowed on the trail while school is in session and possibly using the trail at the same time?
There's no time limitation on it's just the requirement that they remain leashed and that owners pick up after them.
And I mean, it's
In this
no-brainer. For some reason, we have to put it in this ordinance that you have to pick up after your dog, which is just another addition to why I don't think dogs are necessarily appropriate in this location. It's going out into the wetlands. We clearly have an ecosystem that's, precious to a lot of us, I think having dogs out there and possibly seeing animals that they're not used to, possibly even a deer, could cause them to go berserk. We're already building a facility for dogs adjacent to this location. I think there should be more thought put into that. And then, does the school want dogs going out behind their, secure zone? I just think there's a number of questions there, and I think we could table this. We have time to table this because I would like to have more input from what the Board of Education would want us to do. They're the biggest champions in supporting this project, after all. And that's just my concern. It's not, there's no bad dogs out there. They're just bad dog owners. You know what? And people come to Cape May and they forget to pack their brains, So I just think it's a concern of mine.
Well, and also, as you're talking about children, dogs coming up, dogs can be large, children can be small. I mean, that interaction, I mean, it's not, I mean, the width on the trail is what?
6 feet.
6 feet. That's not a lot of personal distance. Just to say, if you are someone who might be intimidated by a dog, or, there's no place for you to go. On a sidewalk, you can walk out into the street or something like that. I mean, I do appreciate your concern. It was one of the things that when this came up, I wasn't necessarily enamored with it. I'm thinking 6 feet is not a lot of personal space if you're trying to maneuver. It's not like you can go anywhere. So you're either standing still and waiting for the dog owner to pass, or, as you said, hoping that everyone plays by the rules and acts accordingly. So, I'm not sure what the answer is, but I certainly appreciate your concern, so.
I'm just saying, I can be okay with voting yes on this. I just think that there might be a chance or a position that we're going to be in where we have to change it back. That's
Yeah, there's something to be said for that. It is, when this first came up and it was discussed, thinking in terms of, candidly, the people that are going to be out there, and that people are going to be out there and taking care of their dogs in the right way. But you do have to plan for the worst case scenario, unfortunately, as well. And the fact that it's also going to be used by maybe by children during the day, it does throw another element into this as well. And we do have a dog park there, so there's something to be said for that. As far as you go in a lot of different places in Cape May, and you have an opportunity to take your dog. So I guess it's a good question as well, even to bring up at this point, to say, should we tap the brakes and say maybe this is a place that's just, do we really want that to be here at this particular location, just for the reasons that you raised?
And I think the elementary school is going to use this as an extension of their of their school day, or, you know, the environmental science classrooms, you know, walking trails, things like that. So I fully understand what you're saying, Councilmember Meyer. What does that do at this point? I mean, it substantially changes.
Sure, we would, if we wanted to take that part of it out, it would be a change. We'd republish, and then we'd have another second reading.
Can I make a recommendation on that? I'd much rather pass this evening because we're looking at a couple weeks opening. And I think we need to have some ground rules in place. No bikes, no.
Plus they, I think, I have to order the sign.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah.
There should be more things on there than just rollerblades and bicycles, you know. We were talking about a no drug school zone up everything, you know.
Are those signs posted in that area already? I'm just,
By the school,
I
within a
personally
certain
haven't
amount of
been.
feet.
Well, I go hiking a lot, so you have all the nose
Yeah.
photo pictures, you know, and then you also, there's a disclaimer under there. Anything not mentioned is also not.
Shane.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, folks.
So, Mr. Gillenschwartz, and Mayor, you would like for us to pass this evening because of the timing, but then.
It's opening
Then we could-
Plus,
probably.
I mean, the other issue with dogs are, I mean, the reality is enforcement. You know, it's different, like on our beaches, we have beach tag people at each beach entrance. It's easy for them to stop, leave. This is an unmanned location.
That's-
It's practically, you know, it's hard for, I'll say, law enforcement to enforce no dogs on the mall, which they almost can't enforce.
I walk the trails.
I don't disagree with everything, but I'm just looking at the practicality. What's the practicality of that? And
So, can I, yes, Chief? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
I mean,
I just want to say.
Not that I
walk
don't
the trails
disagree.
all the time in Cape May Point, and almost every other time I walk there, there's somebody walk the dog, or even two dogs. I'm not the type of person to say, oh, you know, you're not supposed to bring dogs here. But I'm just saying that if an incident happens, that gives us extra protection for ourselves and for the person that possibly gets injured. I'm saying, let's vote for this. At the next meeting, let's amend the ordinance. Then we can solve both things.
I think we should vote for this tonight, and if we need to update the ordinance, I'm fine with talking about that. Go ahead, Chief.
I just want to weigh in, just from the enforcement side of things. Moving forward, as we create this open space for the public and we move forward for the police department and the park, will we allow dogs in the park? I think we should not. You have a dog park there, because it's just going to create more bite issues,
have to be in
more
the dog
liability,
park.
more cleanup and mess. Some people clean up, some people don't. I've got little dogs and big dogs. I clean up, but not everyone does. So I think if you restrict it, if you're going to restrict it eventually for the park itself, I think you should restrict it for that walking trail as well. There's a dog park right next door to it. It's not like we're saying, no, we hate dogs. We're making an available space right next to the bocce ball court, and it'll be very beautiful for the dogs, and that's where they should be held responsibly. That's just from the enforcement side of things. That's my way in. I think it's definitely a hazard if you let them roam free. Because I'm trying to think, like the county park, you're not allowed to bring your dogs to the county park.
No.
You know what I mean? You had, because of the ducks and the geese and, like I think someone said about new animals back there. There's different things back on that walking trail that they're going to be chasing and losing dogs. Someone doesn't like it, we're sorry. But that's just my way in, sorry.
So, Chief, just a question, and somewhat related. We touched on the security cameras. Will there be a security camera at each end of this entrance to these nature trails?
I believe that's the phase that as we move forward.
I'm not asking, I'm just.
There should be, yes. I think as we do, once we look at the police department and put cameras in, we're going to attach that probably, if the manager allows, to the park itself.
Yeah.
We manage, you'll see in your demo next week how much we can manage. You can have up to 900 cameras on the
Right.
system.
I mean, I just think, it is a.
I would say
somewhat of a
definitely at
sensitive-
the entrance, because,
Yeah.
definitely at the entrance, and as we move forward, I don't know if there's power on the trail or not. I don't know if there's power out there, because that makes it easier, but if we're running power or anything, lighting out there for the entrance, there's no lights, right?
No?
So there'll be something in the park we can grab, but
And there's only one entrance to the trail.
Okay, but
so
I'm just
I would
saying-
absolutely say yes, the entrance going into the trail, we don't
Yeah.
want to monitor people, their actions going
Okay.
through, but at least something happens, we saw the face of someone walking in.
Exactly, that's what my
timeline.
point is, you know, it's.
Or at least a camera in the park that points there of that. And then,
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I don't want to complicate this any further.
He's
But
gonna-
one thing missing, and just so Chief's here too. So we're amending prohibited conduct, but there's a whole section that goes right before this that's not in the ordinance because it's really long, but we're not touching that, and that contains a whole list of A1 through 31 of prohibited conduct in parks.
Okay.
So it's not like the park won't have any rules if we don't adopt this tonight. So I want to make that clear too. What the baseline, what we would have, if council tabled this or amended it and tabled, to the next meeting for second reading, removing the dog portion and adopting this, don't ride a bike or anything else on there, it's for pedestrians, part of it for another meeting, what would be left with is the standard conduct governing all parks in the Cape May, which is already on the books. And among that is language about don't ride a bicycle without reasonable regard for the safety of others. So we might have to tolerate 2 weeks of people riding bikes, but they can't be out there doing wheelies on the trails. So that, I just bring that up so that it's not like we don't have rules for the park. We're just making specific ones for the trail. So I would be comfortable that there's at least something on the books for this area. It is a Cape May Park, and it would be covered by these. This is a specific one targeted towards the trails. So with that context, that might kind of inform what council may do here.
One of my least favorite topics is dogs on the mall, and we hear this all the time. And I hear from tourists that write the mayor of Cape May and say, my dog in a stroller was kicked off the mall, or my dog on a leash who's very behaved was kicked off the mall, and I'm not coming back to Cape May. So I get those. I'm a dog owner myself. They're also not allowed on the promenade, as we all know, which is a wonderful place to walk your dog, but you're not allowed up there with your dog, which, again, I understand. And I understand them all. But I do think there is a nice thing to be able to say to people when they complain about their dog, and I do say this to people, that they complain about the dog not being, I say, look, Cape May is over 2.5 square miles, and you can go with your dog to just about everywhere except the promenade and the mall. I think there's something to be said about this trail being a safe place for people to walk with their dog, because I do get that, where else are you walking your dog? You may be walking them, basically in streets all around town, and, as we all know, in the summertime, that can be pretty hectic. So the dog park's there, so I understand that, but I do think there's another side to this that says it would be nice to have a location that you can safely walk your dog outside of any vehicular traffic, no bicycles or anything else. So I honestly see both sides of this. Mr. Meyer, I hear your points, certainly. I think, obviously, the problem always becomes misbehaved dogs. But to me, I think that's something, you kind of try to address on an individual basis if you have a repeat offender or something, I don't know if I'm complicating the issue anymore, but
You don't want a repeater, you don't want a single offender.
sure. Yeah.
But to access the trailhead, you're really going through that park area.
Yeah.
And so
And that
then we'd have a
complicates
real
it even further.
conflict, because now we have people with dogs in the park that we say that they can't, and then to access it. I'm still about the sort of the physical safety issue and just the lack of a lot of space for people to be able to move around. And I understand sort of the desire to give people a location, but we wouldn't have the conversations we have around the issues of the dogs on the mall and the dogs on the promenade if we didn't have people who weren't respectful of what the rules are. And I know that we're it may seem like we're punishing everyone for the behavior of the few, but with children involved, I think that that's a really hard thing for me to, see a large dog coming up, and small children in front of them. There's no place for them to go. There's not like you can pull them aside and, it's 6 feet. So that's what I visualize in my mind. I can't, may never happen, but I kind of see that as a potential concern, as a parent would raise. So I don't know the answer other than I think we need to pass it tonight so that we have something on the books.
Yeah.
And
So
then have some.
and I think
right?
ultimately, my recommendation is let's pass this so we have something on the books. But certainly would entertain any changes to this at this point and have an amended ordinance, right?
If you want to revisit the dog portion of it or any other portion right afterwards, you
Yeah.
can do an amendment.
All right,
Well, I'm committed to doing
Is
that.
that good?
Yeah.
Fine, that's fine.
okay, yep.
Okay.
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 Oh, no, we already had a public hearing, didn't we?
Right.
Never
Do we
mind.
have a motion?
Yes, we have
Yes,
both.
We have both.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes?
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
All right, next we have 557-2025, an ordinance authorizing the grant of a conservation restriction easement to the New Jersey DEP for property known as Block 1000, lots 60.01, 61.01, 62.01, 63.01, 63.02, 63.03, in connection with the Cape May Seawall Madison to Wilmington Avenue project, with a public hearing tonight, council.
Okay, is anyone here wishing to speak on ordinance 557? Ma'am? Please, if you would. Thank you.
I live at Victoria's Walk, and
Hi, ma'am, I'm sorry, could you state your name and address for the record? And you can move that if you'd like, speak right into that, please, okay? Yep.
my name is Patricia Reagan. I live at 1621 Beach Avenue, Unit 201, Victoria's Walk. And I've had conversations with some of the other residents and with a Mr. Lee Snyder, who lives on Wilmington Avenue. I believe it's 1 Wilmington Avenue. And he has asked me to present some of his opinions because he couldn't be here tonight, some of his comments. He's an engineer, and he says he has talked to the engineers from the Corps of Engineers involved in the project, and recently to the team of engineers and designers from Collier Engineering. He thinks that replacing the existing seawall with a wall 8 to 9 feet higher will only create more flooding during major storms, because any water breaching the wall will remain trapped, and each additional breach will again, in his opinion, raise the water level and cause more damage than what we experienced during Sandy. The sand will settle to the bottom, enter the catch basins, and clog the pumps, whose sole purpose is to pump the overflow back into the ocean. He says he's had conversations with the engineers, and he was asking, could they design something that, why the design could not include a stainless steel flapper or a check valve, so that when it's pressed closed when the water is pouring against the wall, but it opens when the water level on the land side is higher than the ocean, allowing the water to return to the ocean. He says that this principle is utilized at the Bay of Fundy, and if anyone on the planning board agree with his thinking, he thinks that the concept should be presented so that the engineers in attendance from the Corps and Colliers could respond. Now, I'm not an engineer, but I kind of understand what he's saying, but do we have engineers here?
Could I just really quickly, really, this ordinance has nothing to do with the seawall itself. I just want to be clear. And
Oh, okay.
I'm happy to talk about it. That's not the issue. This is basically the area that needs to be dedicated to be able to do the work through the DEP, correct? So, having said that, I just want to be clear that this is basically allows the project to occur, but not the project
Okay.
itself,
It's a
okay?
condition of the NJDP permit.
Right.
There's mitigation required, so this is about like plantings along the proposed seawall in connection with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection.
Right, well, I can see that when the water comes over, it would be trapped though, right? No? How would it get back?
So just as this past weekend, when it rained on that side of the seawall, it went into the storm basins and then was discharged. So just as if after the seawall is built, if that seawall is breached, we have
Massive
many big problems, the least of which will be a little bit of extra water that will be sitting at the surface. Because at that point, we'll have lots of other problems with a lot of structures. But what I can tell you is any water that breaches over top of that will drain off in its natural course, just as if when it rains today.
And what about the sand with the pumps? Because the sand
It
comes,
wouldn't affect the pumps, but, just as
Paul?
sand comes in today, that would be cleared off
Could I
and taken care of.
kind of reiterate what you're saying, just to, at 8 feet higher, right? Now, this has been since Sandy that we've been designing this, just, to be clear. So this has been over 10 years. And I know some of the folks in your area were really concerned when the Army Corps project was quite literally a 13-foot wall.
Yes.
Okay, and so we worked extremely hard to soften this, to get this to be the same protection level, but not just some cinder block wall on Beach Avenue or a cinder block covered with brick to make it look nicer, but a big brick wall, right? So we basically slowly sloped it back, kept the timber, right, the timber facade off of the street, slowly sloped back with a dune, and that would have dune planting. So frankly, it would look similar to how it looks today, very nice. And then a promenade, and then a seating wall. But that seating wall is 20 to 30 feet, depending on where you are on Beach Avenue, off of the street. So it's set back. And when you look at, and we've had multiple demonstrations of this and everything, but when you look at that seating wall, it's actually below the height of some of the bushes that currently exist there today. But to get to the point of the pumping, if this wall was in place, which increases the height, I think 13 feet in total, right? If this were to be breached, that means up and down our coastline in Cape May will have been breached as well. Because if it's breaching at what basically becomes almost our highest point at that point, it's almost going to be breaching everywhere, which, I mean, that's utter disaster for Cape May. So will we be able to pump that water out? We won't be able to pump that water out anywhere.
okay.
And
What about the flapper? I thought that,
Flapper makes all this sense in the world, by the way. I mean, we've looked at flappers in other locations for regular
it
coastal
made sense to me.
storm drains. We've installed them on Texas Avenue. So his point absolutely is true. And I don't know if you remember, we used to get a lot of flooding around Riggins, the gas station there.
Yes.
We replaced the flapper at Texas Avenue and have had far less. It's still, full moon, high tide, we still might get some water, but that flapper has prevented some of the backflow of some of the water. So, I mean, he's absolutely correct. To reiterate what Paul's saying is if you had overtopping of this new wall, you'll have, we might not have a town. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia. I just want to comment on her comment. Anybody that was here on Sandy knows that when that water comes over that wall, it runs downhill to Frog Hollow where it's pumped out. So there really is no problem with sand because at that point, it's already been laid off into the street on the way down.
That's true. Thank you. Anyone else on this? But we appreciate your concern, certainly. Thank you. Anyone else on this ordinance? Okay, roll call. Do we have a motion?
We don't.
Do I have a motion on this ordinance?
Motion?
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar,
Yes.
Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick.
Yes.
Next, we have the public portion on the resolutions only.
Okay, do I have?
If there's anyone looking to comment on the resolutions listed?
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia. One quick question for that ordinance that you passed for the park. I think one of the most important thing is you put on no smoking, because you had children there, and you don't want people having marijuana smoking in there or anything else. And that's more, to me, it's more of an issue than the dogs are.
I think that's in the, as Chris iterated.
I know.
That's in that other section, so we'll have no smoking
But
signs.
just mainly on the sign, I think is the
Yes.
most
Yeah,
important.
we'll have no smoking.
My question right now is just around the report on the Quality of Life Work Group report. I guess I'm talking about that because I know when Paul developed this work group, one of the disappointments was that there's no public interaction with the quality of life that pertains to the public. And it was centered around the people that work in City Hall, which most of them don't live in Cape May. So my comment is, are you going to be taking any suggestions from the public for this quality of life group that you're working with?
I take comments from the public every day about the quality of life. And I don't know where this misnomer started. It's not centered around the employees at City Hall.
Well, I
The
think-
employees of City Hall are charged with improving the quality of life for the residents and visitors of Cape May City. You know, whether it's code enforcement, zoning, fire prevention, police department, myself and administration, we're all charged with improving the quality of life for the residents and visitors of Cape May City. That's what we do, that's what we discuss, and that's what we look to do.
mean,
We're
isn't-
not looking to improve the quality of life for us. We're looking to improve the quality of life for the residents and visitors for the city, and that's what we do.
Well, a couple times I brought up suggestions, and it was shot down by you. And that one of them was the fact that we wanted the box put back for
And-
water bills and tax.
And
Bill.
didn't I talk to you about that?
Well, you did. You said you're getting it, but that was after I went up here 3 times, and you told
not-
me we're not doing it.
But
So-
not every discussion, we discuss things, and some things are taken upon, some things are not, and that's just how things are. And I did get back to you and say, now that the job's done, I've got a spot for those boxes to get moved, and they're going to be moved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on resolutions this evening? Mr. Roush?
Good evening, Jules Rouse, 1010 New York Avenue. It's really a part of the Resolution 176 to approve bills. And I just wanted to make a comment that I think it's great that you've made an application for a CAFRA permit for the 4,200 lineal feet of seawall. That's a correct statement, I believe?
Yeah, we've received a CAFR permit for the seawall.
Okay, in reference to that, it appears as that's really the beginning of this project actually gaining some momentum over the next few years to become a reality.
I think less than a few years.
Okay. One of the things that I think is really important for the public to understand is what this project is going to cost. How much is it going to cost in total? And then how are the costs going to be allocated? Do we as taxpayers pick it all up? I don't think so, because there's been conversations about grants from the federal or government or one of the agencies, or low-interest loans, or grants or low-interest loans from the state. Certainly the county, it's on a county road, they will be part of this project. But we've not seen a definitive estimate, and I realize it would only be an estimate, of what these costs will be and who's going to bear the brunt of those costs. From the taxpayer standpoint, I think it's important that the taxpayer understands that you can't build a $50 million project, if that's what it is, and not incur some long-term serious debt. And then how much is that debt? And how is it going to be paid off? We as a body that's going to have to bear these bills and our next 2 or 3 generations should know what that is going to mean in terms of increase in tax costs on an annual basis going forward for the next 20, 40 years. I don't know whether it's been forecast as to how you would bond this kind of a project, but I think that's one of the items that should be brought before the public so that when City Council is asked to make a decision to go forward with this project and commit to it, they know what it is that they've committed this community to for the next 30 to 40 years. So I'm a cost person. I don't get involved in doing anything in my life. When I built projects, I knew exactly what I estimated at the beginning, and I would look at those project costs throughout the project so that I could, maybe change course if I needed to. But we need to know what those numbers are going to be and when the opposition.
Mr. Roush?
Yeah.
I think we can kind of answer your question.
That's right.
The city manager can speak to the estimated costs, but we have been approved for a $25 million grant from FEMA, so that's huge. I mean, 25 million. We have, I think it's 4.8 million from the county committed, and our engineer has been working off of those numbers, as somewhat of a budget. I don't know if you have the numbers in front of you, Paul, but he knows those amounts and has been working. And frankly, as part of our FEMA application, obviously, that they ask those exact questions themselves. What's it going to cost to do? So they've had estimates and have worked with FEMA. And I don't know if you have any numbers, Paul, or
If I may, Mayor,
if you don't, it's okay right now. But
I think it's
Go ahead,
great
sir.
that you're able to say, well, we've got a grant for this much money. And then there's comments made for some money coming from another source. I'd like to see a line. I'd like to see exactly who's putting up, or who's saying that they will put up, or who's saying maybe we will put up, so that we can look in front of us and see what it is that this thing is going to cost.
so
And
would
then
I.
at some point,
So
go to
I mean,
the
just
gentleman in his back room and say, what is it going to cost the taxpayers?
So would anyone up here, believe me. Now, we've shown, obviously, the county amount that we've received. Now, that's been about 2 years or something, so it's been a while. But we've shown that at a public meeting, at a council meeting. We've shown FEMA accepting the 25 million, but we don't have the check yet. So I don't want to.
Is it in the mail?
No, I don't know. But that's why you haven't seen those numbers like on a line, because we don't have it yet. So I hear you, and I'm hoping that in the next 2 months, which is what we're hearing, I don't know for sure, but within the next 2 months, we are approved for that 25 million, and the check is in the mail. And once that occurs, I mean, just to be clear, we will then have exactly that line by line with the estimates from the engineer, and then we'll bid out the project. Now, the project, as you know, we don't know what the bidding will come in at, and at that point, we'll have to make a sound decision. But do you have anything to
I
add to
fully
that?
understand. Once it's bid, it's, then you know
Then we
what
know.
it really costs.
Correct.
And then you might have to go back and reevaluate
Exactly.
where the allocation of costs come in. So
Exactly.
I understand. It's just, I would like to see a defined number given to the public, and with the understanding that at some point, when it goes before this committee, council is going to be voting and committing to the community for the next 30 or 40 years.
Yep,
Thank you very much.
absolutely. And we agree and will.
Okay, that's great. So maybe within 2 months, we might get a complete outline as to what the funding.
Once the check's in a certified mail, we'll do that. Yeah.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Stacy Shan, 928. on Joel's response, though, wasn't that $25 million, isn't that a lot of grants and loans that are part of that?
The 25 million is a grant from the federal government.
Okay,
And
it wasn't
typically,
that-
we would be, our cost share would be 25% of that,
25% of the
25 million.
25.
Or no, yeah,
25% of the 25
the
million?
25 million was the 75% of their costs. Is the 25 million is the 75% of the project cost.
Okay.
So we would be 25%.
Because I
As the mayor
thought-
said, we have 3 million of that 25% cost covered from the county, so, but a
think-
lot of those
but-
final numbers aren't known because the design hasn't been completed yet.
Okay, but
And
what was the thing last week that you voted on, the fact that it was a loan that you were going to get? Was that
so
for,
that, a different project, so
that was for the water?
so that's water,
Okay,
so
I'm
that was for
sorry.
the iBank. That was for the iBank, the
The
NJD,
iBank,
the
yes. What was
iBank.
the iBank for, the loans for that? The DSAL? Okay, thank you, Maureen.
Anyone else on this, on the consent agenda? Okay, do I have a motion?
Do we have anything to remove from the consent agenda, council, or are we good? Other than Councilmember Bodnar abstaining from the minutes.
Anything, council? Do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Roll call?
Councilmember Meyer,
Yes.
Deputy Mayor McDade,
Yes.
Councilmember Bodnar.
Abstain on the minutes, vote yes on the resolutions.
Okay. Councilmember Baldwin,
Yes.
Mayor Mullick,
Yes.
and new business?
Okay, on to new business. City solicitor, any new business?
Nothing tonight, Mayor, thank you.
City manager?
I did have some other numbers, but the meeting's been long. Just want to announce that the city's holding a citywide job fair, so it's not just for the city, but all the businesses are gathering at Convention Hall tomorrow from 4 to 7, Convention Hall for a job fair. So anybody out there looking for interested work within the city, a lot of businesses, restaurants, retail shops, the city itself will have a booth there. So if you need a job, come on down. We've got people looking for jobs.
Great. All right, city clerk?
Yes, just spreading the word that there is a property tax relief information session scheduled at the Crest, Crest Arts Pavilion at 6301 Ocean Avenue in Wildwood Crest. This is a virtual presentation from the Division of Taxation on the new PAS 1 book and qualifying for property tax relief in New Jersey. If anybody is interested in attending that. That is not my wheelhouse, but I'm sure if you have questions, you can reach out to the Borough of Wildwood Crest or to our own tax collector's office.
Yes, there is actually a phone number, so if you're interested in participating, I think it is, you can do so virtually.
Okay.
Because I did look at it, and just very briefly, it is a combined program for tax relief in the state for the anchor program, the senior freeze, and property relief. So they're doing one application versus maybe any others that you have participated in. So there's forms and instructions, but if you, the best thing to do is to participate in this, and they have the phone number on the link that you sent out, that you can call, and you don't have to register, but I guess it'll tell you how you can participate virtually.
Okay, yeah, great. That, oh, I'm sorry, it's Tuesday, May 13th at 10 a.m.
Okay, great. Thank you. Anything else, city clerk?
No, that's it.
Thank you very much. Council members, Deputy Mayor?
Yes, I just want to update on the Lafayette Street housing property for the affordable housing. The three-bedroom unit is finally rented. The tenant moved in May
great.
1st. And just to give you a little bit of background, there were over 800 applications for the two units. They reached out to 374 applicants. This is a very detailed process. There's a lot of information that's needed to evaluate the applicants, their credit worthiness, job history, et cetera. So it does take some time. The two-bedroom unit, which is the very low income, that is still, they're still vetting through those applicants. So when we get an update from Triad Associates on that, I'll report back. But it's been a bit of a process, but we're finally making some progress, which is good.
Just reiterating, applicants for one apart,
For 2 units.
to 2 units is amazing. Sorry about that. Councilwoman Baldwin?
Just two quick things. The opening center of the community center, that was just a wonderful city event. I'm glad that that's opened. Everybody who put effort into that, thank you. And then Jazz Festival is coming up May the 16th through the 18th. And a big headliner here this year, Samara Joy, who 2 years ago, when she was 23 years old, won the Grammy. It's fabulous. But there's going to be some really good headliners here in the city.
That's awesome.
So that's all, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Bodnar?
On May 15th is going to be the next beach cleanup. It's going to be on the Queen Street Beach at 3 o'clock. Supplies are provided to help clean up the beach. I know the last one was very successful at Poverty Beach just a couple weeks ago, so I look forward to seeing people there. Additionally, later that day at 5 p.m., the Citizenship Awards ceremony will be taking place at the Washington Street Mall.
Oh, that's great.
Thank you.
Okay. Councilman Meyer?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I'm just going to be a broken record to everybody. The trees have bloomed, the leaves are growing. Look out for the tree of heaven. The tree of heaven is where the lantern flies, are attracted to it. So if you have any on your property, the city got a $20,000 grant. We want to help you remove those trees because the removal is expensive. And if you see them on public property, let us know too.
That's great. Thank you, Mr. Meyer. And I just want to echo the comments and thank the council and city manager and deputy city manager, all, the Department of Public Works, the Recreation Department, all worked really, really hard on getting the community center together. What a really wonderful event to open it up. If you haven't had a chance, go check it out. It's really great gathering space. There's a couple exercise bikes in there, card tables, little couches, TVs. It's a really nice little space. And also that same day, I was there with the city manager and police chief for the and deputy mayor for the Cape May Cares event, which was really another heartwarming, nice. Work with our local youth here in the city of Cape May. So that was a wonderful event, and kudos to all the volunteers in that group. With that, I'll open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to speak, please come to the microphone, state your name and address for the record.
Peter
Hello.
Cole. 1075, are you paying attention? Sorry.
I know all of your addresses by heart at this point, guys.
1075 Michigan Avenue.
The clock is running, Peter.
Right. I'm definitely not talking on behalf of the taxpayers tonight. I'm talking on behalf of Sims Sinclair, his name is, and he's a cockapoo. He has been waiting for years to have a stroll around the park in the country. He can't go to the promenade. He's never been to the promenade. I've told him, I said, you can't go there because the cops will get you. And he can't go in the mall. The same reason. The cops, again, are going to get you, boy, so just hold on. But tell me something. Is this park pathway, is it all elevated? Yeah. All of it? So you can't step off the side?
No, it's
I would say
protected.
half of it's elevated,
Yeah.
half of it's not.
Well, I don't understand this decision you made here tonight at all. I mean, you can't take your dog on...
Just to be clear, because I want to hear you, but tonight we passed the ordinance as is, which is allowing for leashed dogs, and we said that we're going to have a further... Yeah,
Well,
leashed
that just
dogs.
goes to show I've been sitting here and I didn't hear a thing.
No, I think
So-
what you heard is correct, though. I didn't want to... I'm not trying to throw you off your game here, because I understand what you're saying. It was stated that we would look at this again, perhaps to amend it to not allow dogs, so that we have a further conversation
Well,
coming.
Sims likes being on his leash, so he tells me that anyway.
Yes.
Well, and Sims will have a lovely new dog park.
He was
to
hoping
visit.
that the lovely entranceway to the walkway would say
Welcome, Sims.
Sims Sinclair Walkway. But anyway, I've made my point. I just hope that we will allow dogs there because we all know about the rest of it. Promenade,
Yes.
blah, blah.
Thank you. Thank you.
You can sit down. Jules Roush, 1010 New York Avenue. I hate to beat this drum again. I've been a dog lover all my life. Also a bicyclist up until I fell. So I'm not allowed to have a bike ride anymore. I've got a new hip. However, we've got as a city to make a decision whether we're going to enforce the dog bicycle rule on the promenade and Washington Street Mall, either enforce it or get rid of it. I was up there with Peter today. Both of them had bicycles and dogs in both places.
Just to be clear, though, Mr. Roush, and there might be some, like, a little bit of lag and confusion on this. City Council did update, not the mall, but the promenade and the beach to make in-season and off-season rules. And right now, we're still off-season, which means bikes can be up there and dogs with leashes and clean up after your dog. It's not a free-for-all up there. So if you saw, in other words, people with dogs on leashes and bikes on the promenade right now, that's permitted under the code until, I think, May 15th is around when it shifts to in-season.
It's just that, time is coming on, and we will soon be under the new what I call the permanent regulations. It's just, I don't know. I like regulations and I like them adhered to. It's very, very easy once you know the regulations and you'll follow them. We've got a number of what I call accommodations in this community, and they make it clear that that they allow dogs and that they're permitted in town. Well, that's not a natural or a complete statement. I have a question of our clerk. Any idea where we stand with the mercantile licenses, percentage-wise? How many people do
Off the
don't have
top
them?
of my head, I haven't checked in for a few days. I think last week we issued like around 900-ish
What,
ballpark.
2/3 maybe?
13 out of 13.
We had about over 1,300 last year.
Yeah.
We're still getting a lot in. We have had a lot of people who are not giving us full, complete renewal packages, particularly the insurance has been a nightmare. 3 years, we're 3 years into this, the state required insurance, and it's like pulling teeth. So we're still navigating through an influx of paperwork at this point and trying to see who's missing what and who owes us what.
At what point do you say you're not in compliance, you can't open your door?
Oh, no, nobody gets a mercantile license issued if they are missing those items. So they should not be operating without a mercantile license.
I think it'd be well for the public, for the mercantile community to understand that they do need a license to be in business.
Absolutely, absolutely. I will say we still are, again, we're wading through a lot of paper still. So once we kind of navigate through all that, we'll have a better idea of who is still, straggling as far as compliance goes. We'll shift more into compliance once we finish going through this. We had an influx of paperwork at the very end, right
Thank you.
before the deadline, naturally.
I'd like to just make one other comment about trolleys. I think before you get too far involved in this, I would suggest that that you talk with some people that have had experience in managing fare-free trolley systems, not unlike what the county has offered, and inquire as to what it is like to have to manage that type of system. It is a great deal more than I think many of us recognize. I've been dealing with trying to find out more and more details about that. I'm not prepared to bring it here this evening because you're going to work on that. It's just that, the county has a system, the ferry has a system, and they're all using internal combustion engines So think about that as well as when you're going through this operational, what you're going to do when you find out you can't replace a battery-driven vehicle right quickly. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello, my name's Bob Egler, 5 Jackson Street.
Good evening.
I wanted to say that I've been retired 3 or 4 years now, and living on Jackson Street, I've noticed that when people come up into town, they come up Lafayette, especially people who've never been here. They come up Lafayette, they get to Colliers, and they either make a right or a left. Most of them make the left, which is great. And if you notice that you come down that street between the beautiful homes, you can literally see the water in your car. And I wanted to point out about the proposed bathroom. While I think it's a great idea, is there a possibility to have it located between Perry and Jackson Central rather than right at the end of Jackson Street? Because if y'all take a ride down there and you'll see what I mean. You'll see all the homes you're taking at. It's really impressive when you drive down the street.
Yeah, the location was going to be up by the mall, not down at the beachfront, waterfront. I'm sorry if I
Right by the
apologize.
mall.
I thought,
Yeah, because
I'm
I'm
sorry.
looking at it, I said, that looks,
No.
is that the promenade? I thought you meant Jackson Street
No.
at the beach.
no, up
Yeah.
Where exactly are you talking about?
right there in where one of the loading zone is, and part of the loading zone we would use for the bathroom.
So you want to put a $350,000 bathroom a block away from another bathroom?
It's a block and a half. It's at the other end of the mall.
No, there's one in the middle. Right.
No, it's on.
Okay, I have no more issue.
Thank you, thank you.
Hughes Street and whatever that road's called. It's only a block away from where you're proposing it.
Behind.
I'm speaking my mind out loud. I just hope some of you people are thinking too. I mean, the bathroom that we're talking about here, in my personal opinion, self-cleaning, it looks pretty futuristic to me. It's a historic part of town, and I think we need more bathrooms in Cape May. I tell you what, I took a walk with my mother on the promenade. She wants me to help her walk some more, and I said, we'll do the promenade. That's perfect, because the bathrooms will be open. The one by the cove wasn't even open. So, I mean, if we have the bathrooms, let's open them. And 2, if we're going to put another bathroom in Cape May, let's not put it, what is that, like 150 steps away from another bathroom? That's a thought.
Sir?
Yes, my name is Peter Garcia, and my wife and I own 705 Kearney Avenue and have been paying taxes to Cape May since 1984. I have comments on 4 topics, but I'm really only here because of the first one. The first topic relates to the exit from Soldiers and Sailors Park to Columbia Avenue. A year ago, almost to the day, I think it was May the 7th actually, I requested that warning be to drivers and pedestrians be posted at the crosswalk exiting Soldiers and Sailors Park to Columbia Avenue. I went to several safety meetings after that with the encouragement and really kind assistance of Councilmember Yeager, and also presented my concerns verbally and in writing. And he encouraged me all 3 times. But to date, there's no added warning that has been posted. As I mentioned back then, a neighbor of mine was severely injured, hospitalized, and could have been killed at that crosswalk. Her injuries were sustained on September the 3rd, 2021. A person coming out of the exit from Soldiers and Sailors Park goes directly onto Columbia Avenue, goes directly into the traffic lane. There is no parking buffer lane, 1 step out and you're in it if a car comes by. A lapse in attention can really be deadly, and I don't know if there have been other accidents. This is the one I've focused on all these years, because when I went there after she got hurt, I was shocked at how dangerous it can be, especially in the summertime. It's a very unique hazardous crosswalk. If nothing else, I suggest that when you pass there, please stop, look, think, and before you cross there, and then warn all your loved ones to do the same.
Can I ask you one question? I should probably know the answer, I just don't. You went to the bicycle and pedestrian meetings.
Yeah.
Do you know if it got included in the master plan that they were working on?
Well, it was, that corridor was included in that review, but I did actually speak with him, I think, was it?
Peter Garcia.
No, 2 days, I forget, earlier this week.
at the
I think,
opening of the,
on Saturday, and I was actually out with the Public Works Superintendent yesterday, and we're going to order, we looked at several of the intersections, because Columbia Avenue has several crosswalks, so we're looking to add several pedestrian crossing signs along Columbia to slow the traffic down on there, to make motorists aware of the pedestrian crossing. So we are ordering signs for those locations.
That exit is unique. I mean, if you're on the other side of the street, you got the parking buffer lane come out before you hit the traffic lane.
I remember you bringing this up, and my understanding was it was going to be included in the bike walk Cape May, we call it, but basically the master plan.
It's been a year now, and there's no added warning. And I know it's a touchy spot. I mean, really historical area. Whatever sign is put there probably should be looked at by HPC. But it seems like a simple sign. One side tells a pedestrian stop and think, and the other side tells the driver, stop for pedestrians and crosswalk or coming out of the park. But and it doesn't have to be in the middle of the street. There's no room there to be in the middle of the street. There's a grassy patch at the end of the park there, where I think you could put something there.
Okay.
But can I go on?
Yeah, please. Just to answer one other thing, the master planning does take a while, and I appreciate your patience.
But as you said before, the season is coming, and traffic whips through. Memorial Day. I mean, as I said, I don't know if there've been other accidents, but it didn't exist before the park was rebuilt.
Okay.
Because you couldn't pass through it,
One of the resolutions we passed today is based on the bike walk plan, which is that the bridge going across on First Avenue too. I just want you to know, I think that was the first real step that we've taken based on the walk bike plan. But in any event, it sounds like the city manager's on it, so hopefully he'll have some signage out there soon. Then.
Okay.
Continue. I'm sorry.
Second, I would like to comment on the hazard of being doored while biking. Getting doored happens when a driver, without looking, opens a door into the biker's path, or a skater or skateboarder, or who knows what. But I was actually a victim of such an accident, and it took months to recover from my injuries. Getting doored can also be deadly. I asked that the city develop a two-sided handout about the size of a parking ticket, which can be given to bikers when they rent bikes, and put on cars by volunteers to warn drivers, every now and then. But one side can warn the driver, one side can warn the biker, but maybe a little picture could be put on, or cartoons showing the door opening and the bike hitting, and bikers are often drivers too. So if they could be given one of these when they rent a bike, maybe it'll help, because the bike lanes and the parking lanes in Cape May are just ripe for this accident. I don't know how many there've been, but I know I was one, but I don't know how many you've had. But and my third comment relates to the memorial benches on the promenade. Very few of the benches are broken, in my opinion anyway, and most are solid, just need some sanding and painting, and I think they should not be trashed. I would also like take this opportunity to request the city to designate at least one bench as a, quote, chatty bench, because I think it might even be a tourist attraction. For a lot of towns around the world have done it, and supposedly it helps with issues of isolation and loneliness. But it might be worth a try just to take a shot at it, you know. And finally, I'd like to comment on the issue of recycling in Cape May. My wife and I are members of the Taxpayers Association and agree with the position that profit-making businesses should be responsible for removal of their recyclables and trash. In our opinion, if the city wants to pick up more stuff, it should pick up residents' garbage and make Cape May a more peaceful and livable place by improving the current system where multiple noisy and stinky garbage trucks are always roaming the city during the day. So that's my final comment. I want to thank you all for the work you do. I mean, being here today, the kinds of things you have to deal with are just beyond my comprehension in some ways. But we love Cape May. I know you do too. And I want to say one last thing is that if there's no warning at Soldiers and Sailors Park, by next May I'll be back. Okay.
Thank you.
Very much.
Thank you. Anyone else this evening?
Stacy Shan, 928 Columbia. I have a couple things, but one of them is, from the zoning board, we had pool applications. I want to put it before the board about no pools in side yards, and maybe think about doing something like that.
You have a lot of pool applications, is that what you said?
Well, one of the ones that brought it up was this side yard for a pool in the historic district on Decatur Street. Was the one that actually the zoning board agreed with HPC that it should not be placed there. But only HPC does not allow pools in side yards.
Okay.
The whole zoning in Cape May as a whole allows you to put a pool in a side yard.
Okay. I see what you're saying. Okay.
And that's the only thing I'm bringing up, because somebody afterwards approached us on how they get that for all of town. So I thought I'd bring that
Can I
up.
ask a question on that? That would be a change from city council then, or for
Really,
the
it
zoning
would
board?
start at the planning board as a master plan
Planning bo-
examination. So really, the zoning board makes an annual report to the planning board, and that's really, the zoning board should make that as part of their annual report. We'll go to the planning board, and then the planning
Thank
board
you.
will make that address.
Yeah.
Stacy, has that been done?
Well, and we just had it last week.
Okay,
On
all right.
on Thursday.
All right.
But I actually thought it was that the council could make a suggestion to the planning board is how I thought it
It can go that way, too.
It can go, that's what I was
Yeah.
going to
One of the reasons that got to the zoning board
Yeah.
was because
It was
the
an
planning board
HPC.
couldn't find a zoning reason
Right.
to say no to that.
Right.
But the HPC,
Well, I personally would just be interested for the planning board to discuss it anyway and give us a recommendation. Does anybody have a?
Well, we
comment on
can, no, I mean, we have a meeting coming up. Yeah, I can request that it be
anyone on the
put
planning board could bring it up
Yeah,
as a
yep.
discussion item.
Yep.
Okay.
So are we all in agreement to bring
Yes.
that up at the planning board meeting? Okay.
I support
Okay.
adopt that.
So
Good idea.
my next statement has to do around the Jacob Jones Monument. I just want to take another look. I think that's a very dangerous intersection to put it at Howard and the Beach. You know, people are always distracted as it is when they drive down Beach Drive, let alone to put a monument there. I think you're going to have car accidents, people getting hit, because people are going to be walking in the street to look at the monument. I just don't think it's a very good location for that monument. My next question has to do with questions for Paul. In that capital bond, I was surprised to see items such as security camera, police body cameras, and safety equipment not put in the departmental budgets and being bonded instead. To me, these are items that should be in departmental budgets. They should be budgeting for things like this on a regular basis. And we shouldn't be bonding for something that we're going to be paying for basically on some of these items long after they were at their welcome. And all the money that goes into bonding for materials adds to that cost. My second question has to do with lifeguard headquarters. Since we're going to be expanding that 6 feet out, are we going to require a CAFA permit?
Yeah, we've actually started that process. We already, and have met with them regarding that, so yes.
Okay, so no approval, but you're starting the process?
Yeah, we started that process.
Okay, great. My next question is, on the roads project, I saw my street up there, Columbia Avenue. I wasn't sure what that was for, since it was just paved maybe 3 years ago.
Sidewalks, I think, right?
We have a sidewalk project for Columbia Avenue to just work on sidewalks.
Oh, to have people replace their sidewalks?
Yeah, well, it's going to be a combination city resident projects where we're going to go in and reset a lot of the old slate and uneven concrete.
So the city is going to be paying for people to have people's
There'll
sidewalk
be a
replaced?
reimbursement requirement for the residents to help fund that.
Okay, so you're going to make the residents replace their sidewalks, but you're going to pay for a portion of it?
Yep.
Okay. And then my other question has to do with, can you explain, maybe I came in late, where the passenger bridge is going to be on First Avenue?
Fowl Street by the Sunset Liquors. Sorry, Fowl Street by Sunset Liquors, going down towards the ocean. The First Avenue will connect to where Fowl Street is. Through the
A
market.
passenger bridge?
Yes.
It's going to be a bike and passenger bridge to get people off of Broadway.
Okay, and go on the back in the trails?
Yep.
Okay,
So if you're coming into town, you just pass the firehouse, and you're going to have, the first right would be Landis Avenue you can make. So right from there, you can be off from Broadway all the way to the beach.
So over the next couple of weeks before the
I
next
mean,
meeting.
how long is this bridge going to be? And how wide?
Small.
About a 200 feet long.
Okay, I'm just trying to.
It goes over Cape Island Creek.
On the construction website, under the future projects, I'll be adding.
Okay,
we've
because this is
just
the
now
first
have
I've heard
gotten-
of a bridge. That's
Yeah,
why I'm like, where did this come from?
We've talked about it one other meeting, but I'll add that as one of the projects on the future projects to show the location map and a preliminary sketch of the bridge.
Okay, but and
on
you
there.
said West Cape May is going to be paying part of this also?
West Cape May has taken the
Cape May.
lead on the project. They've had their engineer working on permitting and some of the preliminary designs, so they're taking the lead on the project.
Is Open Space helping out too?
That's what we have a meeting with Open Space to hopefully fund 50% of the project costs. And then West Cape May would fund the other 25% and we would fund 25%.
Okay, thank you.
Sir? Mr. Moser, welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Mullock. Mayor Mullock. My name is Matt Moser. I live at 1351 Delaware, over in the Village Green, and
Also a lifeguard out at our pool.
a lifeguard at the pool.
Thank you.
Help teach over at Wildwood Catholic and a lifeguard up at Beach Club.
Thank you.
So, thank you. You know, I enjoy doing what I'm doing, so it's fun too, right? So the question I had is, and it came up, a few of us, our neighbors were talking, and a lot of times a question asked or a question not asked is never answered. And so one of my neighbors said they wanted to get some more space. They love living where they live. I love living in the Village Green too. We moved there. We bought 6 years ago, moved down here 3 years ago. And so we thought, rather than change the footprint for permeability and stuff like that, why not build up and utilize the look and feel architecturally of Cape May when you do build up? Make it look really, really nice, approved designs, things like that. And so I guess what I'm asking is, the zoning for it is R4, which I believe, I'm summarizing here, 20-foot high, right? And so I drive around and I see a number of homes that are up over 20 foot. I see some that are, I'll call it, had add-ons that were a little bit above 20, and it's not a knock to them. I think, like, the work that they did looks nice, right? So, and then I see some blocks, when I look at, you know, I downloaded the map, and I see a number of blocks that it seems like they're, one side of the street is R4, one side is R2, and I'm going, what are the impediments to building up? Like, if the design was a beautiful design? I'm just curious.
Sir, are you a twin?
I am a twin.
Yeah. So I'm the president of the Village Green Association also.
Okay.
And so some of the things that have been evaluated for those houses that you saw with the hats on them, a lot of that was done prior to sort of more of an enforcement. It's always been 20 feet. For those of us who have been in Village Green, since the beginning, to have one house up and then the other next to it not, has always been a concern, making those twins look a little lopsided. The quads are another issue, because there's 4 units attached to those. I'm not speaking as a zoning person, I'm really speaking more so as someone who lives there. If my neighbor wanted to do that, then my house would look a little bit out of space, or not look conformed, because you're attached as an attached dwelling. The other piece of this has always been, as part of the master plan for Village Green, was to maintain the campus-like setting, which was the original intent and design. At times, that has frustrated homeowners. There's been some, changes and modifications over the years, but that was the sort of the original design when that was developed back in 1969. So I don't have an answer for you because I'm not speaking as a council member, I'm speaking as a resident of that area. I know the frustrations, but I think if we were going to go about that and look at it as a community, part of the Village Green community, and presenting something, it would have to be that conformity, meaning that you would want to raise, then your neighbor, more than likely, would be put in a position of maybe having to make modifications in order to make it look, from a streetscape standpoint, not awkward. And that's one of the things that in that neighborhood, we've tried to maintain some of that. Maybe not all the time successfully, but some of it, so.
Right. So I'm agreeing with you. I think the look has to look good, right? And it was funny, just speaking with my neighbor next door, after my neighbor to the left said, yep, that sounds great, love to be able to do that. And another neighbor said, they'd love to be able to do that. My neighbor who's connected on the twin side, they said, just show me the design, right? And then if, as you drive down Cape May, you see dormers, you see everything else like that. You could put up a beautiful design. And maybe as one of the requirements, you go, if you're going to adjust the front of the home, it has to be both parties to agree to the same setting. I think it would improve property values down there. I think it would selfishly give more room for my grandkids when they come down, right? And that kind of thing. So that's what I was kind of wondering what the impediments were. I do agree with you, right? Look, I would not want my neighbor building just up on one side. I wouldn't want it.
Well, there are some other considerations that would probably be part of it, just having been on zoning, is parking. So if you're adding to the square footage, that increases the parking requirements and.
Yeah, I mean, I considered that too, but we've never really had that problem when people come down for vacation. We just
No,
go
it's
on
a requirement in the code. It's in the code.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so.
that would need an adjustment as well.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. So if you're adding square footage, and I'll turn this over to Mr. Gillenschwartz, then you're increasing the amount of parking that you're required to have on your property.
Right. My grandkids don't drive yet.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
no,
all
no,
the
I know.
considerations
No, no, I
that
understand. I'm
need to
only
go
kidding.
into it, yeah.
Right.
So if I could add to that as well, I also live in Village Green. My mom has a house in Village Green, and my sister has a house in Village Green. So we're familiar with the issues that you're talking about, and have dealt with that as well. I would say, one of the issues that we also have, not issue, but we don't have an HOA association in Village Green, right? So when you look and face it, over the past 5 or 10 years, the look in Village Green has changed dramatically. Forget about the going up, just the front of the homes. I know there's been discussion. I also served on zoning board, and there's a discussion as well as far as just the uniformity and the look of the homes, particularly when you have one on one side, one on the other. I've seen some really beautiful projects where there's been a cooperative effort where people have made it look really the same front. On the other hand, you see two that look they're clearly mismatched, and that does go contrary, I think, to the look that has been desired in Cape May and in Village Green, contrary to, as the deputy mayor said, the campus environment or the campus look as far as how Village Green was originally designed to be. But the other issue as well with going up in particular is, I believe, concerns about construction there and the weight on, considering the property, the soil that it's built on. I mean, that's that's fill from where the harbor was.
Correct. I had an engineer come out and take a look to see whether or not they thought it would support. And their feeling was, based on the foundation, was that it could. But whether he's right or wrong, I can't say. I can just say that we took that step.
So I've seen a change from property to property, and you have one property there that is wet, and you have another property that's dry, and there's almost no rhyme or reason to it.
Right.
Even on the same street. Have seen some major renovations that have taken place on, not with a second floor, but people building out and maximizing the space on their lot. And when they go to dig to put in that foundation, there have been different strategies used. Some have used pilings, some have not used pilings, but what you consistently see is a lot of water from where they start to dig. A lot of water that ends up getting pumped out, and then people are coming up with and building from there. So I mean, I don't know that engineer. That may be a valid opinion, but what I would say is I think it does change from lot to lot within Village Green.
Right.
And I know that has been expressed as a concern with that weight, and I've also had the opportunity to walk through certain homes that you can clearly see issues that took place with the foundations starting to deteriorate, starting to collapse, and some floors and walls just really being in awful shape, and a lot of significant structural work need to be done to just repair it to maintain a one-level structure.
Oh, no, something else just to add to that. The original homes were built in '69 on Ohio, and then they moved towards the Bayside, right? So
Right.
your home was built in '85.
Right.
Mine was built in '75.
Right.
So when you look at those homes that were built in '69, when they started that development, I know homes that on my block that have been renovated, they have had to take them down to the studs. They've got 2 sump pumps under their encapsulated, crawl space. So, there's a lot, I think what Councilman Bodnar is to say, there's a lot to consider, that because that development happened over many years, almost 15 years from the time it started to the time they got to Delaware and moved onward. It's not perfect, but I do think that this is something that the Village Green community, and we aren't an HOA, we have about 215 members in the association, but it's really much more about me and us providing information to people, about what's going on in Cape May.
Right.
It really would have to be a decision that was somewhat made, at least jointly, amongst the residents. There's many people that have lived there that may not be able to tackle a $300,000 or $400,000, addition. And so then it's a neighbor against neighbor, because you want to go up, but you can't. We also don't want to see a lot of, pardon the term, McMansions down there, because it's been a campus-like setting and a very, small and intimate community. Large homes is not really what that was designed to be, and that's why people enjoy living there, to be honest with you. Yeah.
I'm a dog lover, dog walker, not to get to the dogs thing again, right? But long story short, when I walk my dog around the block, just going around one block, I see nice, beautiful, 2-story, well-designed, well-architected homes. They look beautiful, just walking around the block. So I get, people get attached to what they're in. I really, really do. I'm now there 3 years, and I thought I'd bring it up, ask, see what the impediments are, see what some possible solutions are. If there's other people that want to discuss it,
Yeah, we would have,
that would
it
be
would
great.
really require.
And I'm
going
I'm
to-
open to that.
Yeah.
But that's the reason I
Right.
wanted to
Yeah.
present this today, is to go, what can we do? And like the homes built in 1980, their foundation has been built differently than the ones that were built in 1960s, 1970s.
Yeah,
Like completely different.
right.
Right? The piling piers that have rotted out from underneath the homes, they weren't put in place at those. So anyway, that's why I wanted to bring it up to you guys' attention. I definitely appreciate the time.
Yeah.
And,
I think there would be a lot of discussion at the Planning and Zoning Board, to figure out what the construct would be. And some weigh-in from the community would be what I would like to see, just because I think everyone should have sort of an understanding of what the changes that it could affect.
I'd be happy to work with anybody offline or online or as a group, whatever it would take to at least see what we could do.
Okay.
All right?
Perfect.
All right, perfect.
Thank you very much. Thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else this evening? Seeing none, we'll close public comment. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion, Mayor.
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you.
Time is 7:04.